Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Chag Sameach. We begin this evening with the words of Hine ma tovu manayim, how good it is that we are all together this evening.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Chag Sukkot Sameach. It is great to be with you on this Friday evening as we welcome not one but two holidays. Of course, it's Friday night, so it must be Shabbat, and we welcome in the festival of Sukkot as well. We are all over the place this evening. We are in our homes, we are in the sanctuary, and we are in our Sukkot, whether it is dry or it is raining. We call this time of year, this festival of Sukkot, Zman Simchatenu, the time of our rejoicing. It is a time when we reflect upon the tenuous times in the history of our people, when we were making our way from Egypt to Israel, dwelling in Sukkot, in huts as we made our way on that journey. We remember the time of our ancestors working hard in the fields to gather in the fall festival, the fall harvest, and made a festival of thanks, of gratitude for all the blessings that we had. But tied into this festival of rejoicing, this festival of thanksgiving, is the recognition that we live tenuous lives. We spend our time out in nature to remind us that maybe when you want to be dry, it might get wet. Maybe when you want to get wet, it might be dry. Maybe you want all the technology in the world to work together all at the same time, the audio, the video, everything. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes we want to be together in a big community, in a big family, to celebrate and rejoice in this festival. And sometimes we had to celebrate together from afar as we are now. But as we enter into this festival of Sukkot, it's a time for us to take a breath and say, in the life that I am living, in the experience that I'm having today, what are the things that I feel blessed by? What are the things that I feel thankful for? And as I remind myself of how much better it might be, I should also say it could be a lot worse. We could be outside in the wet, in the rain. We could not have enough to eat. We could not have the safety and security of living in the time in which we do. And so my blessing and my prayer for this Sukkot holiday is that each of us have the opportunity to remind ourselves of what our blessings are, and that we can use this week of the festival to springboard ourselves into even more blessings as we go forward into the fall. As we take time now to welcome both the holiday and the festival, we turn to Molly and Glenn Berngard, who are going to lead us in candles and Kiddush. Molly, as we begin, we need you to turn off the mute on the computer so we can all hear you.
Okay.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Do you hear me?
We do. Go ahead.
Okay. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we be our lives give light to all that behold us, as their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light. So may we in our day be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat v'Yom Tov.
The heavens and the earth were finished in all their array. On the seventh day, God finished the work that God had been doing. And God ceased on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy. Because of it, God ceased all the work of the creation that God had done. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Borei peri hagafen.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'am, v'ro'imanu mikol ha'shon, v'kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'atitein lanu Adonai Eloheinu be'ahava, Shabbatot limnucha, u'moadim l'simcha, hagim u'zmanim l'sason, et yom ha'shabbat hazeh, ve'et yom chag ha'sukkot hazeh, zman simchatenu mikra kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim. Kivanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat u'moadei kodshecha be'ahava u'vratzon b'simcha u'v'sason, hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha'shabbat v'Yisrael v'hazmanim. Amen.
It's a special blessing on Shabbat. It's the day of the double portion. And it's a special blessing when we enter both into a festival and to the day of Shabbat, as we do tonight on Chag Sukkot and Shabbat. And on this night, we have an extra special reason to call out to the Malachei Hasharet, the ministering angels who are looking down upon us and wishing us not only a Shabbat Shalom, but a Chag Sameach as well. And we reply to them, Shalom Aleichem Malachei Hasharet. Angels of peace, angels who join us, we wish you a Shabbat Shalom and a Chag Sameach as well. We continue with the words of Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boachim L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei
I invite everyone to join me in this meditation for Lulav and Etrog as we welcome the festival of Sukkot. Earth and sky, rain and sun, flower and fruit, speak to us of God's creative power. Like generations before us, we give thanks for God's goodness. Into our sukkah, we bring the symbols of Sukkot. The lulav, the palm that resembles the human spine, to remind us that we can stand straight with courage and integrity. Together, may we serve God by standing up for justice, truth, and peace. The myrtle, whose leaves are shaped like eyes that can behold the grandeur and beauty of the universe. May we serve God by looking with kindness at every living being. The willow of the brook, whose leaves are shaped like human lips. May these lips sing God's praise and bless God's children. The etrog, shaped like the human heart. May we remember that love is the doorway through which we pass from selfishness to service and from loneliness to kinship with all the world. God of Israel, let our senses be filled with love for you and your will. Let our harvest be shared with all. We continue now with Baruch Hu.
Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed, le'olam va'ed. Ya la 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 la, 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 la 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 la, la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night.
The colors of early evening sky blend and deepen, allowing new lights to be seen, twinkling through the branches, the promise that in darkness, new light will be revealed.
Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night.
The author Ann Patchett said about her life as a writer that she was a compost heap. Sounded disgusting at first, all of this coming on her like a compost heap, but she was making a beautiful point that she took in everything of life, the things that other people discarded and turned them into stories and brought them back to life in a beautiful way, in the same way that the compost heap nourishes the ground. Yesterday, our B'nai Mitzvah class began with kids who are preparing to have bar and bat mitzvahs in this time. And it was amazing to watch their level of knowledge about their Hebrew names. They knew who they were named after. They knew what their Hebrew names meant. They were able to take the past, as Ann Patchett talks about that compost heap of the past and bringing it forward in beautiful stories. In that very same way, these kids who knew their Hebrew names and the people that they were named after had taken those stories of the past and brought them alive with hopes and dreams of learning prayers, of mitzvah projects that would change the world and doing incredible things. That is what love is, taking what the past discards and bringing it forward to something beautiful, whether it is a story or a prayer or a name. We continue with our prayer of love, Ahavat Olam.
Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amecha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta, al kein Adonai Eloheinu, b'shachbeinu uv'komeinu, nasiach bechukecha, v'nismach b'divrei toratcha, Please be seated.
Love Adonai your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. And these words which I command you on this day shall be in your heart, shall be in your heart. Teach them faithfully unto your children,
The pyramids that were built by the slaves we were in Egypt are strong. They've lasted a long time. There are remnants of many of them till this very day, but they were built in pain and slavery. The Sukkot, the huts that were built that we talk about on this harvest were fragile. They can collapse easily and blow away, but they are built in freedom. The Micha Mocha represents that transition from caring about the building that lasts to the people that build it. The Micha Mocha is a reminder that it is the people that matter. We continue now with Micha Mocha, the song that expresses the transition from slavery to freedom, from pyramid to sukkah.
ונאמר כי אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu, Hashkivenu leshalom, Vehamidenu Shomrenu l'chaim, Ufros aleinu Sukkot shlomecha. Ashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu, Ashkivenu leshalom, Ashkivenu and Adonai Eloheinu, Ashkivenu be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
Shabbat is a time when each of us is asked to remember two essential elements of what it means to be part of the Jewish people. One is to give thanks for the gift of creation, and the second to remember the responsibilities that ensue from our exodus from slavery in Egypt. And so it is that Sukkot is also the same mission. Sukkot reminds us with the waving of the lulav and with the
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי
וביום השביעי
שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
We continue now with the tefillah. If you're at home, we invite you to please rise.
We continue with the words of the Amidah. Please rise.
תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'konei hakol, V'zocher chasdei avot v'imahot, U'mebid geula livnei fneihem, L'ma'an shemo be'ahava, Melech Hosea
Hoshia Umagen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Vezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol, Atah Rav leHoshia, Morid Hatal. Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim. Sohonech Noflim V'Rofech Olim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar. Michamocha Baal Gevurot, Umidom Melach, Melech Meimit Umechayem, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'nemanatah Hachayot HaKol. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
Sukkot is a time, the Talmud teaches us, when we are asked to think of the impermanent, fragile booth that is the sukkah, the symbol of our home, as our permanent home during the week. And that's an interesting thing for the Talmud to ask us to think of that which is impermanent as permanent. And the fact is that everything about our lives is impermanent. Life is always changing, always growing, always evolving, and so are we. From moment to moment, we are never the same people as we were before. We continue in a process of evolution and growth and discovery and change. This beautiful, fresh lulav that I hold will eventually fade and wilt. This fresh etrog that I have will eventually shrivel and die. And the sukkah that you see behind me, I'll eventually take down and throw the schach away and put into the garage to be brought back again next year. And so what we're asked to do in these moments of impermanence is to reflect on that which is permanent. And that which is permanent is the nature of the spiritual essence of ourselves and the love that we express by bringing together the bonds of friendship and community that hold us together with each other and the Holy One. And so as we commemorate the process of Ushpizin, of welcoming guests into our sukkah, I invite you please to join me in the prayers that you will see on your screen. We are here to fulfill the mitzvah of Sukkot. As the Torah teaches, you shall live in Sukkot 7 days. All citizens in Israel shall live in Sukkot in order that future generations may know that I made the Israelite people live in Sukkot when I brought them out of the land of Egypt. I, the Eternal, am your God. We welcome the Sukkah, the Ushpizin, the exalted guests of our heritage. Sit, exalted guests. Sit, holy guests. Sit, guests in faith. Sit in the shade of the Holy One of blessing. We, the people of Israel, are God's portion, and we share it with you. We invite to our celebration the exalted guests, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, Moshe, Aaron, and David, Sarah, Miriam, Deborah, Hannah, Avigal, Huldah, and Esther. On this first night of Sukkot, we pray to you, Abraham and Sarah, exalted guests, that all the other exalted guests may sit here with me and with you.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu le'shev b'sukkah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al netilat lulav. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehecheyanu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Hodu l'Adonai ki tov ki le'olam chasto ki le'olam chasto yomarna yomarna Israel ki le'olam chasto ki le'olam chasto.
We pause for moments now of silent prayer and meditation. Each of us, either in our sukkah or in the sukkah shalom we fashion in our hearts.
To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. Time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to reap, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to laugh, a time to weep. To everything turn, turn.
The beautiful words of Ecclesiastes, the readings of the holidays, beautiful. NPR recently ran a story about the history of the shot clock in basketball, the 24-second shot clock that helps propel the game along. Until it was invented, basketball games would have low scores as players would pass back and forth and not end the play. And so when the shot clock was invented, basketball became more popular. But in this story, it wasn't so much the shot clock that fascinated me, but what one of the inventors did. He was a coach of college basketball as well. And what he did is he took his college basketball team and moved the entire team to Kentucky to play as a pro team. I cannot imagine how wonderful that must have been to play a college sport, to have those bonds that you have and go through what you go through in college, and then to go on to play professionally. Why did I love this so much? Because in some ways it reminded us of here at Temple Bethel, that when we are in one space, we are so close and so together. Those pictures of Sukkot bring a lump to my throat just thinking of all the incredible things we've done at Temple Bethel, Jewish things, secular things, fun things, joyous things. We are bonded as tightly as those who go to college together or experience life as a family. But in the same way, those college players moved on from college to professional and stayed strong and good, so have we moved from our world in person to this digital world. I cannot tell you how many emails all of us have received from you thanking us for these high holy days. That to understand that we are part of something greater than one moment of a scene or another or a prayer was spectacular and unimaginable. How is it that we are even closer, even though we are physically farther apart? The answer to that lies in this holiday of Sukkot. It is a holiday that reminds us of the fragility of life. But what is amazing about Sukkot and these huts of protection that God provided us as we wandered through the desert was that God sometimes appears closest to us at the most fragile of times. In the book of Deuteronomy, which we dwell in this period, within the High Holy Day period, many times it is said that God spoke to the children of Israel in the howling wind of the desert of Deuteronomy. There's no mention of Abraham or Isaac or Jacob, no mention of Moses on Mount Sinai. There are lines in Deuteronomy that make it seem as if God has stumbled upon us in our fragile huts in the desert, and that is where God comes close. And I think that is what we experience as a community in these high holy days, that in this fragile time that only seems to get more fragile day by day, that we find that we are more connected to one another than we could ever imagine. And in that connectedness, we find God. I love sports. I love watching them. I love learning about them and their history. And so to look at that basketball team that played in college and then went on to play pro is beautiful. But with religion, with the synagogue, with our people, there is more. Because ultimately players' bodies will tire out and they will go their separate ways or move to other teams. But we, as a synagogue and a community and as a people, have each other always. And as fragile as life can be, as Sukkot reminds us, if we have each other, and in having each other, even in fragility, we know that we have God close by, then the lesson of the holiday of Sukkot takes us through the wandering of the rest of Deuteronomy into the land of Israel and into our lives today. Shabbat Shalom and Hag Sameach. We continue now with our prayers for healing.
Mishaberach Avotenu V'Imotenu. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bring the gift of refuah shlema, of healing and wholeness, healing of mind, body, and spirit, to those in our families and our community who are suffering from illness and from injury. Tonight, we pray for healing for Rabbi Stephen David Abram, Samuel Agronal, Perry Baer, Fred Belkin, Barbara Bernardi, Margie Berman Block, Kathleen Bowersox, Jonathan Brooks, Lawrence Bowman, Claire Cohen, Roy Cohen, Lynn Edinger, Eileen Eisenberg, Arnold Ernay, Estelle Ernay, Marty Fromowitz, Larry Guys, Jake Goldstein, Stephen Gordon, Keith Homer, Norman Kaufman, Florence Koish, Nathan Corman, Joan Kramer, Mickey Cutler, Ruth LaFrock, Barbara Liss, Marin Mandel, Paul Mandel, Charles Meacham, Susan Myers, Shirley Ann Myers, Victoria Nelson, Jerry Pinsky, Michael Pinsky, Susan Pinsky, Ellen Romberg, Cynthia Romero, Melissa Rose, Eileen Rosenbaum, Ellen Rosenfeld, Sharon Rubin, Ruth Moriah Bashoshana Miriam, Bonnie Schaefer, Linda Weingart Schulman, Lydia Jane Scoresby, Len Sirowitz, Mickey Sirowitz, Kay Tamarkin, Joan Weidenfeld, Jeff Wissett, Israel Yamuter, Brian Yaspi, and Joel Zeiger. And of course, we think of our nation's president and first lady and wish them refuah shlema as well. We say, Baruch atah Adonai rofei hacholim. We praise you, Adonai, our God, who helps bring healing to the sick.
Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We continue with the Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'teit gedula le'yotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kegoyei haratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, legor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim ubishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamachim hakadosh baruch hu. V'nehemar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yihyeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad.
Our thoughts now turn to those who have come and gone, those whose lives brought us joy and celebration, and whose memories live on through us as a blessing. If you are in a period of mourning or observing a yard site, we invite you to rise as the name of your loved one is recalled. As tonight at the yard site, the anniversaries of their passings, we remember Max Arno, Ella Bader, Arnold Burrell, Esther Berman, Paul S. Berman, Ronald Asher Blake, James Bransdorf, George Brass, Dora Bromberg, Edith Gopolsky, Rosalie Costin, Louis Danitz, Martin Eastman, David Einbinder, Philip Ellman, Seymour Ernay, David Feldman, Abe Finkel, Anna Finkel, Harry Fromowitz, Jane Gilbert, Judge William Gladstone, Dora Glazer, Abraham Goldfarb, Irving J. Gordon, Marilyn Grandis, Alexander Granick, Joseph Grant, Duff Greenbaum, Merwin K. Grossberg, Benjamin Hantman, Judge Bertram Harnett, Maurice Haddam, Harold Hames, Bertram Katz, Shirley Katz, Lester Kaufman, Jacob Kaufman, Maury Kay, Florence Kimmel, David Klupt, Erwin Kossoff, Irene Kramer, Pearl Krasilnik, Harry S. Kreindler, Marcy Lazarus, Martin Leventhal, Oscar Lotka, Pauline Lukoff, Abraham Mielnicki, Andrew Nick, Willie Nowak, Beatrice Schaum, Harold Schneider, William Schnurr, Saul L. Schreberg, Marvin Harold Schultz, Esther Schuster, Louis Serafin, Sam Schenk, Lena Sherman, Marilyn Shook, Joseph Shore, Saul Silverang, Pearl Sinaikin, Corrine Sloman, Tina Sokoloff, Shirley Blacker Solomon, IDF Staff Sergeant David Benzion Solomanoff, Richard Summers, Ted Stein, Sylvia Sugarman, Raymond Sussberg, Stephen M. Tamchin, Beatrice Turk, Irving Turk, Saul Turnoff, Benjamin Volin, Jonathan Ubus, and Richard Ziffer. And those who passed in the last 30 days, we remember Dr. Ira Gelb, Barry Krinn, Tony Berliner, Enid Fleischer, Sandra Blackman, Ruth Berg, Stanley Gray, Jeffrey Langley, Alice Donoff, and Judy Boris. Of all of them and those we hold in our hearts, we say, Zichronam livracha, may their memories always be for a blessing. We rise now together and say the words of Mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yit kadash, Shemei Rabbah, Be'alma divra chirutei, v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon, uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv, v'imru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevarach, le'alam u'lalmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yit pa'ar, v'yit romam, v'yit naseh, v'yit hadar, v'yit aleh, v'yit halal, Shemei Dekudsha Brichu, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru, Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba min Shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, Amen. Osei shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, Amen. May the one who sends peace in the high heavens send peace to all of us and comfort those who are bereaved, as together we say, Amen.
Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru, Amen. Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru, Amen.
Join us tomorrow morning at 9:30 for Torah study. Sunday morning between 10 and 1. Join us at the Schaefer Family Campus for our drive-through Sukkot experience. You will get to drive your car into a sukkah if you join us Sunday morning. And of course, next Friday night, join us again for Shabbat as we celebrate Simchat Torah and celebrate our high members of our synagogue. Shabbat Shalom. Let's continue now with the Motzi. Ha-motzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, ha-motzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach, everyone.